The month of October has been a real roller coaster ride in the markets. Well, I mean, look at this picture, 1 month, and it was that dip right around the 18th, 19th, 20th. Gut-wrenching volatility, the official end of quantitative easing, and now today the big bump from the Bank of Japan saying, sure, we'll stimulate, no problem. What should investors expect moving forward, and what's the best move to make right now? We bring it all together, all these juicy headlines. Joining us now, Eagle Bay Capital's J.C. Parets and B-List Capital Advisors Brian Sozzi. Good to have you both. Let's start right now. Hello, Six Flags. It has been nuts here. Brian, let's talk quickly first about the volatility. Is it in the rearview mirror?
Well, that was Batman. That was me, actually, on the street.
That was
I'm
you
up here.
downstairs.
But I'm calling it back to reality. Not necessarily. We have to get off using this volatility word. Back to reality. When I see Facebook, Twitter, Amazon get slammed, Chipotle putting up decent quarters, they get ripped. Investors get their faces ripped off when they come out with earnings. It's telling me that the market's adjusting to a new reality, a reality without the Fed in the mix. One reality I'm seeing when I'm talking to these many executives, higher costs. The competition for highly skilled talent is really heating up. We heard Facebook talk about it, and I think that's a big earnings risk as you go into the first half of next year.
J.C. Parets, I don't know if you know him, Brian, but he's a charts guy. He doesn't get involved in hearts and chocolates and love and fear or anything like that. When you look at the charts, does it mean that we continue to see a nice, sort of smooth, slightly jagged rally?
You know, I think we probably continue to trade like in this giant range that we've been in for the majority of the year for stocks. You know, most of the stocks in the United States are flat year to date. Liz, where I think the real story is that I don't think is getting talked about that much is the United States on a relative basis compared to everywhere else in the world. Nothing's even close. I mean, you know me, I look at charts from all over the globe. Yeah. If you compare any of them to the United States, they're all in downtrends, multi-year downtrends, particularly emerging markets, specifically Latin America. The U.S. is the best place in the world, no doubt about it.
We're the best haunted house on the block at this point, to make the analogy here on Halloween. Let us get to commodities, gentlemen, because the dollar plays so closely into this. The dollar index hitting its highest level in 4 years since June of 2010. Precious metals taking a massive hit today. The only thing higher was palladium, but gold and silver. Silver $16 in the aftermarket session. These are the lowest levels in 4 years. Does the decline continue? I start to get a little glittery-eyed, JC, and I think silver at 16. This was almost at 45.
It was actually close to 50, but remember, Liz, the old saying...
So buy now.
The old saying is that bottom fishing can be very hazardous to your wealth, so it's not something that we want to do. I think that silver continues to go lower. It still hasn't hit our price target. I'm glad you mentioned palladium, though, because of all of the metals, and we've talked about it, you and I, a million times, palladium on a relative basis compared to all of the other metals, that's the best one. I'm not surprised that today, with metals getting slaughtered, palladium was holding in just fine.
Yeah, it was up $11 at 791, but Brian, gold melting down is certainly related to a much stronger dollar. What's the play here?
Well, Liz, admittedly, I'm not out there in a river somewhere in the mountains panting for gold. I'm not out there, I'm not picking for this stuff out of the ground, so I'm looking to tell my clients another way how to play this. Another way would be something like a Tiffany. If you look at the quarter they reported in August, their product costs have started to come down. They've raised prices pretty aggressively. That gives you an alternative way to, I think, play the declining gold. Ultimately, silver prices as well.
Why aren't they lowering their prices on those bracelets? That's what I want to know. And the charms, can you just lower the prices, please? Because gold come down. Adventure camera maker GoPro absolutely crushing earnings expectations this quarter. Look at the stock. It has done beautifully, up 13% today alone. But what is the future of GoPro stock, guys? Is this a buy? There is an overhang of recent concerns about liability. When people are wearing these things on their helmets, perhaps focusing a bit more on the camera and the positioning than what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm a price guy, but I love the product, and me, like, when I have it on and I'm skiing, like, I get more adventurous. So I would, you know, I agree with you. It can be more dangerous. From a pure price perspective, it's difficult for me to manage risk. I mean, I think you could own it all day above 63, but we're in the high 70s. So as an entry point here, for me, the risk reward just isn't there. But in all likelihood, it does probably go higher.
Brian, is there something you like a little bit better than GPRP or GoPro?
Well, I'm digging GoPro. First of all, they sell me something tangible. I know what they do. I can go into bestbuy.com, and that's, I think, a key component here. You can find the product. I don't necessarily know what Facebook and Twitter do at their very core, and certainly not Amazon. I'm also seeing new products. They just came out with a product for your puppy.
But does it worry you the GPRO, GoPro, its high has been $98. Now it's at $77.
No, you are right. This is a richly valued stock, but that essentially means it is a story stock, and the story is working very well for Liz. One, because the revenue growth rates are starting to accelerate. They're having more social postings, and I think that's a story that's getting underappreciated right now.
Okay, stay tuned.